Welcome back, everyone. Well, as many of you know, we have a never-ending quest here at Look TV. I always like to find interesting people and organizations in our community and introduce them to you. All right, a little backstory here. About 5 years ago, I heard about a federal credit union, and I didn't know what that was. I know what a union is, and I know what credit is, and I wasn't sure what the federal part was, but lo and behold, I got to know the people at Parks Heritage Federal Credit Union in Glens Falls and started to realize really what a difference a credit union is compared to what a traditional bank might be. So joining me today is the CEO of Parks Heritage, because that's the one I know, which is Anthony LaPointe. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you here. You know, that was a real surprise to me. We met 5 years ago, right? Remember?
It was, yeah.
And at that time, I remember asking you a bunch of questions because I was like, well, how is it like a bank and how is it not like a bank, and why is everybody so happy and willing to help you here? And and there are a number of different kinds of credit unions and things like that, but let's start with just really what is the basic premise of a federal credit union as opposed to a bank?
So basically, they offer a lot of the same services.
Yes.
So people get that confused or whatnot. But a credit union was kind of founded as a cooperative financial institution, founded by members who had a specific need, pooled their money together, and created this cooperative collaboration.
My way of saying that, it would be a membership.
Correct.
So in other words, you put people in the same, let's say you're in the same field and working occupationally, and you get together and you decide, okay, we're going to pool our money together and whatever. Of course, the first question that comes to anybody's mind at that point is, well, that's okay, but is it protected? You know, you hear about the government protecting deposits and things like that.
Correct.
How's that work?
It's still the same. We are overseen and protected by the National Credit Union Administration. The banks are the FDIC, but same kind of idea, same protection. Your funds are protected.
The same way that it would be in a traditional bank.
That's correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think the point of differentiation here is that a bank, correct me if I'm saying this incorrectly, a bank is a for-profit institution, and a credit union is a not-for-profit institution. There's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah,
That's
right.
a huge difference in how we operate at the end of the day and who we're working for.
Right. And in doing so, would it be fair to say that, nothing against traditional banks, of course, but as a for-profit organization, they're looking to max out the profits for that institution. If you're a member of a federal credit union, it's a not-for-profit organization, those profits are looking to go back into the organization. Would that necessarily translate to better rates, things like that?
Exactly. It translates to lower loan rates, better savings rates, lower fees. Any profit that we make at the end of the year, we look at reinvesting that into better products and services for our members.
Now, as I mentioned up front, I had some experience with Parks Heritage, and there are other federal credit unions, but with Parks Heritage in particular, and I noticed that when we were there, that the bank officials weren't asking you some of they'd ask you the traditional questions. You know, you go into now for a loan, and you know the list is this long of all these things. But a lot of times that's not the full picture. Would it be safe to say that in a federal credit union that you really are looking at a fuller picture of the individual coming in needing your services?
Absolutely. We ask some similar questions, but we dive
Sure.
into the story because, you know, one of our mottos is life happens. And so we want to know what happened in life to get you to where you are today, sitting across the desk from me. And once we can fill out that picture, we can better understand who you are and where you've been and where you want to go so we can help you out.
You know what, I don't know how many of you are involved in small business or whatnot, but as an individual, it's one thing to have a credit rating, right? You think the world revolves around credit ratings now. That's 1/100th of the full picture of what is that individual about, what motivates them, what they need the funds for, and the like. You know what, before we went on air, you were telling me something about the time you spent with someone who came into your office and really just needed to talk to you.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We hear a lot of stories about people that come in and they're looking for a specific need in the moment, but when you dive into the story, you hear about, you know, these terrible divorces and the scenarios that go around it, or, you know, medical conditions and family emergencies. And unfortunately, other financial institutions don't ask the right questions to understand what got these poor people to where they're at, where they need help.
Yes, right.
So, we're here to help as much as we can, and some of that is to be a listening ear.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the case of Parks Heritage, the theme line really is a very interesting theme line. It's we care for those who care. And that cuts a couple of different ways. I think the caring part you understand just generally from the conversation, but every credit union does specialize in a category. Would that be safe to say? In Parks Heritage case, it's people related to the medical industry.
Correct.
Right? So those are caregivers. Mm-hmm. So we care for those who care cuts a couple of different ways there. But it's not really restrictive in the sense that you don't have to be a brain surgeon, that's the way I would say it, to be part of a credit union. How large a family is that?
So for Parks Heritage, we serve the medical community and their immediate family members. Mm-hmm. So who's medical community? Well, that's anybody who works in a hospital, a doctor's office, a medical manufacturer. You could be a janitor in any one of those buildings, and you're eligible as long as you live in Warren, Washington, or Saratoga County.
Suppose you work at CVS.
If you work in CVS, that's a pharmacy. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
You qualify.
Okay, and their families.
And their immediate family.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty wide tent when you come to think about it. And also, it's one of the questions that I asked, and maybe you're thinking about, do they have bank by email? Do they have all of the technical things and all that? It's all the same. It really comes down to the point, which is why I invited Anthony on, was to say that, in this kind of world where we do need that extra moment with somebody, especially when it pertains to our family and our finances and things like that, I just found that the whole idea of membership and the whole idea of a federal credit union just suited my lifestyle a lot better. So I really want to congratulate you on the whole approach and everything that you do.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice to have you here.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Okay, that's it. So if you want to see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.